Well, we're once again joined by the Chief Minister and also a member for Ernst Young on the issuing of the Economic Research Report, which makes interesting reading, quite a nice little brochure here. But Chief Minister, can you give us a history about why you actually decided to produce this document?
The review itself really flows from a lot of the uninformed criticism that's been aimed at the Isle of Man over the last few years by politicians, by the media and other organisations, which claim in fact that the Isle of Man is a drain on the UK economy and therefore action should be taken against it. We're very concerned about disproving that myth and indeed that the exercise started with Michael Foot, who headed a committee of inquiry under Gordon Brown, which ultimately, far from proving that the Isle of Man was a drain on the UK economy, we were identified as a positive contributor. Now, this report by Ernst Young takes that onto a different level. It still looks at financial services, but also looks at the economy across the piece, all sectors, and proves quite clearly and gives facts and figures to back up the defence that the Isle of Man has, that we are in fact a positive contributor in many, many ways to the UK economy, and in fact in these difficult economic times that we live, could make a contribution towards helping the UK turn their problems around.
Okay. Well, Mr. Hope, I mean, you're commissioned to do this. A cynic would automatically think, therefore, you'll find exactly what your paymasters have asked you to look into.
Well, no, I don't think that's the case. First of all, Ernst Young itself has a reputation for independent research, and we take that very seriously and ensure that everything we do is something we would stand behind, is rigorous in its analysis and based on facts, and this is very much the case here. I think the other point is that we really shaped the direction of this report during the course of the study. You know, we started off probably with more of a focus on financial services, and then as a result of the research, we found that actually probably the key message to bring out is about the Isle of Man's diversification and balanced economy, which is quite distinctive when you're comparing it with other international business centres.
The unique selling point
we came out with, frankly, was perhaps slightly different to the report our client would have expected at the start of the project.
Unique selling points, Chief Minister, you're homing in on the space industry, film industry, all these other things that others aren't doing?
It's visibility more than anything else. We've got to understand that these are extremely difficult economic times, not just for the Isle of Man, but for most of the Western world, whether it's a large economy or the smaller competitors we usually have to compete against. What we need to do is find a way to stand out from the crowd, and therefore it is vital that the Isle of Man identifies its real strengths and can put forward strong arguments to promote that USP, to make us stand out from the crowd, to raise the Isle of Man's profile, and ultimately both to deflect the political criticism that heads our way, but also to give us the ability to attract new business at the same time.
Could be said that Jersey and Guernsey wanted a hold of this just so they can pick out the best bits and start replicating.
Well, the Isle of Man is in the fortunate position that we probably have one of the most diversified economies of any small jurisdiction anywhere in the world. Jersey and Guernsey have nowhere near the diversification that the Isle of Man has. So even if they wish to have this report, they couldn't replicate it at this stage because it'll take them years to actually build up their economies to the level that we are.
I mean, at the end of the day, is anyone really going to take this to their heart and say, oh, we are very pleased, thank you, you've now made it also crystal clear the Isle of Man is a lovely place and is not a drain on the UK resources? I mean, obviously not. So where do you go from here?
This will help to inform the messages that the Isle of Man sends out over this next few years. I'm meeting, as you know, business people, politicians at all levels on a regular basis off island, as are many of my ministers, and of course the business community as well. I hope this will help to inform a standard message to go out from the island, which is consistent, that people clearly understand, and ultimately over a period of time will come to be accepted. This isn't going to change the perception of the Isle of Man overnight, fully accept that, but it's a starting point. It gives us real facts and figures for the first time to back up some of the claims which are made. But the evidence that's presented to us today will need to be updated, it will need to be kept current, and we will need to disseminate it to the key individuals, both political and in the business community, who can actually then forward those messages to the key decision makers elsewhere.
But obviously, Ernst Young, you produced this, there had been a draft that would have gone to your office first, there would have been a little tweaking, dare I say, a little rewriting. You accept that has gone on, or is this as you wrote it?
No, it's as we wrote it. I mean, clearly we'd expect our client to review it, to certainly for any points of inaccuracy, and to help with the quality of the drafting. But there's no more than that. Certainly all the key messages are ours, not the client's, and all the detail that you find in there is pretty much as we produced it.
So the Isle of Man PLC, what condition are we in?
I think the Isle of Man is in a very strong position, in a position that is not widely known. I think that's the key. There's a bit of a hidden secret here, and the Isle of Man is going in a great direction. I think there's a lot to build on here as well, in terms of the linkages with the UK and the wider community as well.
I think one of the probably legitimate criticisms that can be made of the island over the last few years is that we haven't been as adept at communication and spreading the true facts about the Isle of Man as we have in actually developing the economy in the first place. This, I hope, will make up for the deficiency in the past. And I've mentioned on a number of occasions now, it's my intention to try and raise the level of communications that the island has with the outside world, and indeed within the island itself, to make sure that people fully understand the true position of the Isle of Man and its contribution to the wider world.
And yet at the same time, the more you communicate, which obviously we appreciate, but this ends up on somebody's desk at Whitehall. Do you think they'll come back for another pop at us because you're saying we're in such good nick?
No, I don't think so. We have to accept any small jurisdiction, especially one with a competitive tax rate, is always going to be under the spotlight, whether it's from Westminster or Europe or the United States. This will help, though, when those attacks come, to give us some firm facts and figures and strong arguments to deflect that criticism.